I had been in a relationship with Ethan Hayes for 3 years, yet he still wouldn't propose. Then, suddenly, he fell for my stepsister at first sight and started pursuing her openly without any regard for my feelings. But this time, I didn't cry. I didn't wait in silence, hoping he would get tired of her and come back to me as he had before. Instead, I collected all the gifts he had ever given me and threw them away. I took the wedding dress I had secretly purchased and tore it to shreds. On his birthday, I left the Hayes family estate without a word of goodbye. Just before I boarded the plane, Ethan sent me a text message. "Why aren't you here yet? Everyone is waiting for you." I stared at the screen, a small smile on my face, and then blocked him on every platform. He had no idea that 2 weeks earlier I had already accepted a proposal from Liam Carter, a senior from my college days. As soon as my plane landed in a new city, Liam and I would be getting married. Standing in front of the mirror, I looked at my pale, tired reflection. "Liam, I've made up my mind," I said softly, a quiet sense of certainty settling in my chest. It turned out that making such a life-altering decision wasn't as difficult as I had imagined. "Chloe, will you marry me?" Liam's deep voice came through the phone, steady and filled with emotion. My heart tightened and tears welled in my eyes as I nodded. "Yes." "Do you know?" he said. "I've been waiting for this moment since we were in college." I looked at my reflection again and realized I was smiling without even knowing it. "Wait for me, just 2 more weeks," he said. "I need to finish up a few things on my end." "Okay, Liam, I'll wait," I whispered. Right after we ended the call, the door to my room creaked open. My father stood there awkwardly. "Chloe," he said, clearing his throat, "your sister isn't feeling well. Your room gets better sunlight. Why don't you let her use it for a few days?" I didn't reply immediately. Behind him stood my stepmother and Olivia, my stepsister. My stepmother quickly added, "Oh, there's no need to trouble Chloe, dear." Olivia spoke softly, pretending to be considerate. "Yes, Dad, I'm fine. Please don't upset Chloe because of me." "What do you mean, trouble?" my father snapped. "You're my daughter, too." Then he looked at me, his tone firm. "Chloe, you're the older sister. Be more understanding." I looked at him and felt nothing. I thought I would be heartbroken. I thought I would cry, realizing my own father loved a girl who shared no blood with him more than he loved me. But not a single tear fell. Instead, I nodded and smiled. "Sure, I'll switch." There were only 2 weeks left until I would leave this place forever. It no longer mattered which room I stayed in. My father looked pleased with my compliance, and my stepmother gave me a satisfied smile. After they left, Olivia stayed behind. "Chloe, let me help you pack," she offered sweetly, standing near me like an obedient little sister, but as she looked around the room, I noticed the glint of pride in her eyes. "I didn't expect Dad would really make us switch rooms," she said with a chuckle. "Chloe, are you mad at me? I mean, after all, I took Ethan from you and now I've taken your room too." I said nothing and turned to get my suitcase. Suddenly, Olivia cried out loudly and fell to the floor. Her arm had hit the corner of the desk and a dark bruise was already starting to form. "Chloe Davis, what are you doing?" a voice yelled. I looked up, startled. Ethan had just come upstairs and had seen Olivia fall. His face darkened as he rushed to her side and gently lifted her into his arms. "Ethan, I'm okay," Olivia said with teary eyes and a forced smile. "It's not Chloe's fault, really. It doesn't hurt." "How can it not hurt?" Ethan said, staring at the bruise on her pale arm with deep concern. Then he looked at me, his eyes turning as cold as a winter wind. "If you have a problem, take it out on me," he said sharply. "Don't hurt Olivia. She's already suffering enough. Not like you, born into a rich family, spoiled since birth, never knowing what hardship feels like." I had thought nothing he said could hurt me anymore. I had truly believed I would never cry over Ethan Hayes again. But in that moment, I was still just an ordinary girl. I didn't have a heart made of stone. The boy I grew up with, the man I had loved for 3 years, had fallen for someone else in just a few days. And now he looked at me as if I were some cruel, heartless villain. I wanted to stay strong. I wanted to laugh. But the tears were already rising. "Ethan Hayes?" I said quietly. "We've known each other for so many years. Do you really not know what kind of person I am?" His brows furrowed, his gaze softening just a little as he looked at my face, as if something inside him hesitated. But before anything could change, Olivia began to cry again. Ethan, please don't argue with Chloe because of me. It's okay. She has every right to be angry with me, she said gently, her voice full of hurt. Ethan's eyes turned cold once more. You're just jealous, he said. Jealous that I love Olivia, that I care for her, that everyone does. You're not the girl you used to be, Chloe. You've changed. You've become bitter. And with that, he turned and walked away, carrying Olivia in his arms. I stood there, watching their backs fade into the distance. That was when I realized my tears had already dried, and I hadn't even noticed. Maybe that was a blessing. I had cried far too much over Ethan these past few days. Maybe now, finally, I would stop letting him break my heart. That night, the group chat with our mutual friends suddenly lit up with activity. Ethan had posted a message. Suddenly feel like getting married. What should I do? The replies poured in right away. Ethan, are you finally marrying Chloe? Time to call her sister-in-law. Congrats, sis-in-law. When's the wedding? We want a big red envelope. Ethan, when are we getting the invitation? One message after another filled the screen. I was just about to reply to explain that I was not the so-called sister-in-law and that Ethan's sudden talk of marriage had nothing to do with me. But before I could say anything, he posted again. What nonsense are you all talking about? I never said I wanted to marry Chloe Davis. Then, without warning, he added someone new to the group. Olivia, and tagged everyone. Take a good look. This is your real sister-in-law. The group chat fell completely silent. No one said a word. The lively room now felt cold and awkward. After a while, Ethan spoke again. What's wrong? Say hello to your new sister-in-law. Slowly, people began to reply, one by one, sending hesitant greetings to Olivia. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, then typed, Congratulations. Wishing you both a long and happy life together. After sending that message, I quietly left the group chat. Not even a full minute passed before Ethan called me. Chloe Davis, come here right now. You know the place. Our old spot. Why? I asked, to apologize to Olivia. Why should I? You suddenly left the group. Do you know how that made her look in front of our friends? His voice was cold and firm. I don't want anyone talking badly about Olivia. I am the one who likes her. I want to give her a proper place in my life. She is innocent. She shouldn't be seen as a homewrecker because of your actions. I had thought I was finally free of his control, that I no longer cared what he said or did. But hearing those words, I felt anger rise so fast it made my chest ache. My fingers trembled as I gripped the phone. My voice shook as I answered, Ethan Hayes, how can you treat me like this? What gives you the right to talk to me this way? You were the one who cheated. I did nothing wrong. I even congratulated you. Was that not enough? I tried to hold back my tears, but my voice still cracked with a sob. There was a long silence on the other end. Finally, he said, Chloe Davis, I'll let it go this time. But remember, Olivia's innocent. Don't take your anger out on her. Don't hurt her. Then he hung up. I sat on the floor, trembling from head to toe. On the nightstand by the bed was a photo of my mother. Her gentle eyes seemed to look at me with love and understanding. Suddenly, I couldn't stop crying. The tears came fast, pouring down like heavy rain. I reached for the photo frame, hugged it to my chest, and pressed my face against the cold glass. I sobbed uncontrollably. It felt as if the mother in the picture was crying with me, grieving for her daughter's pain. I told myself I didn't want to cry anymore. I didn't want my mother, wherever she was, to see me so heartbroken. Once her Memorial Day passed, I would leave this place. I would take only the few keepsakes she had left me and never return. Olivia moved into my old room. I didn't take hers. Instead, I found a random guest room and stayed there. The blanket the housekeeper left for me was damp and cold, but I pulled it over myself and forced my eyes shut. Just a few more days, I told myself. I only needed to hang on a little longer, and then it would all be over. But the next morning, as soon as I went downstairs, I saw something that made me freeze. In the side hall where my mother's photo and offerings had been placed, everything was destroyed. Her picture had been thrown to the floor. The frame was shattered. The photograph itself was stained with dirty footprints. Her smiling face now looked as though it were crying in pain. The offerings were scattered everywhere. Olivia's dog was chewing on one of the fruits. Olivia stood nearby, clapping her hands and laughing. I felt every drop of blood in my body rush to my head. In that moment, every bit of patience and self-control vanished. Like someone possessed, I grabbed a vase and hurled it at the dog. The dog yelped and ran away. Olivia screamed. A shard from the broken vase had cut her arm. Her voice was sharp and shrill. "Chloe, what are you doing? How can you raise your hand against your own sister?" At that moment, my father's voice echoed from behind her. "Chloe, you've gone too far." Olivia cried out and threw herself into his arms. "Dad, help me. Chloe tried to hurt me." I turned to him, my whole body shaking, tears streaming down my face. "Can't you see what she did?" I cried. "She threw away Mom's offerings. She destroyed her photo." But my voice was drowned out by his silence. And I stood there trembling, broken all over again. I was heartbroken and furious for my mother, but my father only glanced at the mess on the floor. He frowned slightly and said, "Even so, Chloe, you shouldn't have gotten physical. You hurt someone." "Dad," I cried, "Mom has been gone for so long. What matters more to you? A person who is gone or the one who is still here?" His voice was cold and distant. He didn't even look at me. Olivia stood there with a pale face and spoke softly. "Dad, my dog accidentally knocked over the offerings. I was going to apologize to Chloe, but as soon as she came downstairs, she attacked me. I didn't even get the chance to explain. She smashed a vase at me." She lifted her bleeding arm, showing it to my father with a pitiful look. Maybe Mom and I should move out." "It's just a dog," my father said to the pet without emotion. "It doesn't know any better." Then he turned to me, his eyes sharp. "But what about you? Don't you know better?" All of a sudden, he raised his hand and slapped me hard across the face. I was so shocked that I couldn't even react. For a moment, he looked surprised too, but he said nothing. Instead, he turned away and left with Olivia to take care of her wound. I stood frozen in place, watching them walk away. I couldn't even feel the pain until a few seconds later, when the burning sting on my cheek finally registered. I reached up and touched the swelling as tears slid down my face. I laughed bitterly. I understood now. There was no place for me in this home anymore. In the middle of the night, I was woken suddenly by screaming and crying. I had just sat up in bed when my door was kicked open. My stepmother stormed in, crying, and before I could say a word, she slapped me hard. "How could you be so cruel?" she shouted. "It wasn't enough to hurt her during the day. Now you're trying to kill her too?" She collapsed into my father's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "She knows Olivia is allergic to peaches, and yet she poured peach juice all over her bed and pillows. She's trying to kill our daughter." "It's all right now. Don't cry," my father said gently, patting her back. "Olivia took her medicine in time. It's nothing serious." But while he comforted her, he glanced at me with suppressed fury. "Chloe," he said coldly, "you have really disappointed me. You need to move out tomorrow. Keeping you here will only bring more trouble to this family." My stepmother stopped crying almost immediately. I stared at the man standing in front of me. He used to be the person I trusted most in the world. I was his only daughter, his pride and joy, the one he always called his little miracle. But now, everything had changed. I felt like a character in a tragedy, the kind of story where the heroine loses everything. At first, I couldn't understand. I cried, I resisted, I tried to fight for my place, but now I was finally awake. The bond between father and daughter, it was gone. The day I moved out of the Davis family home, my father said, "Once your mother's memorial is over, I'll bring you back." I gave no reply. After they left, I quietly cut up and burned every photo I had with Ethan Hayes and my father. Then I took out the wedding dress I had bought 3 years ago, the one I had picked out in secret after Ethan confessed his love for me. It was the dress I had dreamed of since I was a teenager, the one that made me feel like a princess. I destroyed it with my own hands. Next, I gathered all the gifts Ethan had given me over the past 3 years. There were silly trinkets and expensive jewelry. I chose the valuable ones and asked my best friend to keep them. After I left, she would return them to Ethan for me. Only then would we truly owe each other nothing. As for the small, sentimental things, the ones that were meant to make me smile, I packed them all up to throw away. I used to treasure even a tiny keychain he gave me, but now, when I held it in my hand, I felt nothing at all. At last, I carefully wrapped my mother's photo and placed it gently into the side pocket of my suitcase. Without looking back, I stepped out of the house where I had lived for 10 years. Just as I reached the front gate, a familiar car pulled up. I didn't even glance at it, but the car stopped beside me. The back window slowly rolled down, revealing Ethan's handsome, refined face. My eyes brushed over him, but I didn't stop walking. "Chloe Davis," Ethan called out. His voice sounded different, uncertain. "Where are you going?" I was dragging 2 large suitcases, and it was already hard to move. I had no energy to talk and no reason to stop, so I said nothing and kept going. Ethan suddenly got out of the car. "Do you want me to have the driver take you?" "No, thank you," I replied, stepping past the hand he had reached out. But he wouldn't let it go. He reached out and grabbed my wrist. "Chloe Davis, why are you being so stubborn this time? If you cry a little like you used to, maybe I'll soften up again." I pulled my hand away and looked at him calmly. "Ethan Hayes, there's no need anymore. No need to cry. No need to hope that you will come back. I'm tired. I'm done." He gave a crooked smile and said, "Fine, do whatever you want." But I saw the disbelief in his eyes. He didn't think I would actually leave. No matter how hurt I was in the past, I always waited for him to return. Quietly, willingly. He had gotten used to that. Everyone around him believed I would never walk away. And so did he. As I dragged my suitcase behind me, I heard Olivia's soft, sugary voice behind me. "Ethan, you're here!" she called out, rushing over and holding onto his arm like she belonged there. She pressed her body close to his, her voice sweet and gentle. "Are your allergies getting better?" Ethan brushed a strand of hair from her forehead and looked at her closely. "Much better," Olivia smiled, her eyes curving like tiny crescent moons. "Ethan, don't be mad at Chloe," she said softly, giving his arm a light shake. "It's my fault. I was feeling unwell, so Dad asked Chloe to switch rooms with me. She probably got upset and took it out on me." "How could it be your fault?" Ethan said, his voice full of sympathy. "She's the one who is petty and difficult." He glanced at me briefly, then pulled Olivia into his arms as if to make a point. "Come on, let's go inside. Your face is just starting to heal. Don't let the wind ruin it." "Okay," Olivia replied sweetly. I watched them walk away, their bodies pressed close like shadows joined together. They looked inseparable, loving, like a couple lost in their own world. But inside me, everything was still. My heart didn't move, not a ripple, not a tremble. After Mom's memorial, Dad never came to pick me up like he said he would. He disappeared from my life once again. Before I could even dwell on that, Ethan's birthday came around. In past years, I would have spent weeks preparing. I would search for the perfect gift, reserve a table at his favorite restaurant, and carefully decorate the venue for his party. But this year, I bought him nothing. I didn't plan to celebrate. I never would again. At 5 p.m., I was on my way to the airport when messages started coming in, one after another. Even Dad was texting. "Why aren't you here yet? Your Aunt Olivia and I are already at the restaurant." "Chloe, you should be more understanding. Ethan will be part of the family soon. If you don't show up, what will people think? They might think something is wrong between you and your sister." I found it all ridiculous. I didn't reply to a single message. Instead, I blocked his number. Just as I was about to board the plane, a final message popped up. It was from Ethan. "Why aren't you here yet? Everyone's waiting for you." I smiled to myself, said nothing, and blocked him too. Then I walked into the boarding gate without looking back. At 7 p.m., the party still hadn't started. Ethan sat on the couch, flipping a lighter in his hand. His face looked calm, but he kept checking the time. He glanced at his phone again and again. Ethan. Olivia bit her lip and tugged gently at his sleeve. It's getting late. Everyone is getting hungry. He looked at her and smiled, but there was no warmth in it. You're hungry? He asked, teasingly pinching her cheek. I'm starving too. Can't wait for the cake. Olivia giggled and leaned into his arms. As she did, a faint but familiar scent reached Ethan's nose. He paused. What perfume are you wearing? He asked quietly. I just grabbed one from the vanity at home, she said uncertainly. Why? Does it smell bad? He shook his head slowly. No, it smells nice. It just reminded me. It's the same one Chloe used to wear. He couldn't remember the brand, but the scent brought her face back in a rush. As the guests laughed and started the usual cake fight, Ethan stepped out onto the terrace with a cigarette. His phone was completely silent. Not a single message. He remembered how Chloe once promised she would never miss another one of his birthdays, but now she had broken that promise without hesitation. Ethan narrowed his eyes and let out a bitter smile. Chloe Davis, he muttered under his breath. Are you dead or something? Can't even reply to a message? He hit send, but the message failed. A red exclamation mark appeared on the screen. She had blocked him. He quickly tried to call, but the line wouldn't go through. Ethan stood on the terrace, staring into the night. The wind was cold, and something burned in his chest. He was the one who had let her go. He was the one who said he wanted someone else. He was the one who said he didn't want her clinging to him anymore. Now he had exactly what he asked for. But somehow, it wasn't as satisfying as he thought it would be. After I arrived in the new city, I didn't contact Liam right away. Instead, I met up with my best friend from college, Sierra. I wanted to tell her everything, but I still hadn't found the right words. I never expected to run into Liam at the welcome dinner Sierra had arranged for me. He was standing at the entrance to one of the private rooms, dressed in a sleek black business suit. His matching coat rested casually over one arm. The soft light behind him cast gentle shadows on the mural behind him, creating a dreamy, almost surreal backdrop. But no matter how beautiful the surroundings were, they only seemed to enhance his presence. After all these years, Liam looked even more composed and attractive than he had back in college. And now he was no longer just a classmate from the past. He was my fiancé. My cheeks turned warm. I quickly lowered my eyes and nervously gripped the edge of the lace on my dress. I could even feel a small bead of sweat forming on my back. Sierra, on the other hand, lit up with excitement. Liam, what a surprise! What brings you here tonight? I had a business dinner nearby, he said with ease. I saw a few familiar faces and thought I'd stop by. As he spoke, his eyes landed on me. He paused briefly, then added, Hope the old classmates don't mind me crashing the party. Of course not, someone called out. Are you kidding? We would never turn you away. Everyone was thrilled to see him. They waved and welcomed him with cheerful voices. You're always welcome here, another person said. Liam smiled and stepped inside. Then I won't be polite, he replied, walking over and taking the seat directly across from me. Classmates gathered around him, exchanging greetings and making small talk. I kept my head down the entire time, too flustered to meet his eyes. But it seemed Liam was not going to let me hide for long. Chloe, it's been a while, he said with a warm smile. Hearing my name, I looked up without thinking. Our eyes met, and his were calm and steady with a slight smile. My face grew hot again as I stared at him, heart thudding. It took me a few moments to compose myself. Then I stood up, raised my glass, and said, It has been a long time, Liam. Yes, it has, he replied, still holding my gaze as our glasses touched gently. Only then did he take a sip. I took a small sip of the wine, which had a sharp, spicy taste, and quietly sat back down. Just then, Sierra leaned over and gave my sleeve a little tug, her eyes twinkling. There's definitely something going on between you two, babe. What are you talking about? I asked, pretending not to understand. From the moment he walked in, he hasn't taken his eyes off you, she whispered. You must be imagining things. Oh, please, don't forget who I am. I'm like a gossip radar. If there's even a spark of romantic tension, I can spot it right away. I bit my lip and tried to calm my heartbeat, but it was racing wildly. After college, I had returned to the capital with Ethan, and I hadn't seen Liam since. Apart from a few holiday messages, we had no contact. It wasn't until Ethan started openly dating Olivia that Liam suddenly reached out to me. Until now, we had only spoken briefly on the phone. This was our first time meeting in person since I agreed to marry him. We hadn't even held hands, but the way Sierra spoke, it was as if we were already a couple. Just then, one of the girls at the table giggled and asked, "Liam, do you have a girlfriend? I have this gorgeous cousin. Want me to introduce you?" The room filled with laughter and playful teasing. The energy was high and full of excitement. Not to be outdone, Sierra quickly joined in. "Liam, if you're still single, what about our Chloe? She's beautiful, sweet, and smart, graduated from a top university just like you. Wouldn't they make the perfect match?" I was so embarrassed that I felt like my face would catch fire. I wished I could disappear under the table. But then, cutting through all the noise, Liam's calm voice spoke. "That's enough, Sierra. Don't tease Chloe like that. She's a little shy. Please let her be." Sierra made a playful face and teased, "Oh, look at that. The senior is being protective of his junior now." Liam only smiled but said nothing more. I snuck a glance at him, and to my surprise, he was already looking at me again. My cheeks flushed once more, and I quickly looked away. Just then, my phone lit up with a message. "Liam, wait for me after dinner. I'll drive you." Me. "Okay." I didn't reply again, but my heart began racing uncontrollably. When the dinner ended, I waited for Liam in the hotel lobby. The lights were soft and warm, making everything feel peaceful and quiet. Suddenly, I got a call from someone in Ethan's circle. "Chloe, where have you been lately? We haven't seen you around." "I've just been busy with some personal things," I replied politely. "Do you want to hang out with us tonight?" "You all go ahead." "Wait, don't hang up yet. Actually, this is about Ethan. He's in a really bad mood tonight. He got drunk again and won't listen to anyone. If he keeps drinking like this, he might end up back in the hospital with another ulcer." "You should call Olivia," I said calmly. "Ethan just kicked Olivia out," the voice sighed. "We all know he still has feelings for you, Chloe. He regrets what happened." "Stop," I said, my tone firm and cold. "Ethan and I have broken up. His life is no longer any concern of mine." And I made it clear I didn't want him to call me again. As soon as I finished speaking, I heard a sudden noise, like the phone being yanked away. I was about to hang up when Ethan's voice came through. "Chloe, it wasn't my idea to call you. They did it on their own. I had nothing to do with it." Same old arrogance, same cold pride. "Well, I'm hanging up," I said firmly. "Chloe," he called again. And this time, his voice held a weight I hadn't heard in a long time. If this had been before, I might have felt sorry for him. I might have gently scolded him, told him not to drink so much. But now, none of it mattered. I ended the call. Afterwards, I went ahead and deleted all of Ethan's close friends from my contacts. I had only known them because of him. Now that it was truly over, there was no reason to keep in touch with any of them. In the bright lobby, Liam stood a little way ahead, bathed in warm light. His handsome face looked even softer and more dreamlike under the glow. "Liam," I called as I got up. He started walking toward me, but maybe because of the alcohol, his steps were unsteady. I hurried to support him. "Are you okay? Did you drink too much? Do you feel sick?" He nodded slightly. "Just a bit of a headache," he said, his brow furrowed with pain. "Chloe, my car's outside. Can you help me get to it?" "Of course," I said, ready to walk him out. Liam was much taller than me, and even though it was just a short distance, we stumbled all the way. When we reached the car, I lost my balance and fell into his arms. The faint scent of wine mixed with his familiar sandalwood cologne wrapped around me like a warm wave. Flustered, I tried to pull away, but Liam held me gently. "Chloe, just let me hold you for a little while," he whispered. "Okay," I said softly. Suddenly, he cupped my face with both hands, holding me close. "I'm not dreaming, am I? You're Chloe. You're Chloe Davis, aren't you?" Our breaths mingled in the small space between us. In his slightly drunk eyes, I saw confusion, disbelief, longing, and a sorrow I couldn't explain. It felt as if someone had reached inside my chest and squeezed my heart barehandedly. The bittersweet ache filled me. Liam, you're not dreaming. It's me. I'm Chloe Davis, I began. But before I could finish, his warm lips pressed softly against mine. The kiss was gentle, like a feather brushing my skin, filled with tenderness and care. I hadn't even had time to process what was happening when he pulled back. He must have noticed the nervousness and hesitation in my eyes because he took my hand and helped me sit properly in the seat. The car started moving and Liam pressed the button to raise the divider between us and the driver. The small, quiet space made me feel even more nervous. Then he let go of my hand. "Don't be afraid, Chloe," he said softly. "I would never do anything to hurt you. I'll wait patiently until our wedding night." My head dropped and my cheeks flushed bright red. After a moment, I looked up at him and whispered, "Okay." Meanwhile, Ethan Hayes was drunk again. No matter how much his friends tried to stop him, he refused to listen. He couldn't understand why he felt so low these past few days. Maybe it was because he realized he had grown bored of Olivia, that she wasn't as special as he thought. Or maybe it was that he started missing Chloe's gentle, calm, and understanding presence. The last time his friends called Chloe, it had been with his silent approval, but she kept refusing. Something inside him snapped. He grabbed the phone and yelled those harsh words in anger. She didn't say a word, she simply hung up. She didn't come to see him. She didn't try to bring him home. Even knowing he had drunk too much and might not handle it well, she stayed cold and distant. Ethan didn't want to admit it, but in that moment, he panicked a little. Still, he quickly tried to convince himself Chloe had loved him for so long. They had been together for 3 years, not just a few days or months. He knew how much she had invested in their relationship. She must be heartbroken. She must still resent him. That's why she was acting this way. But to say she was truly letting go, that she didn't care anymore, that was something he refused to believe. Ethan could not believe what he was hearing. One of his friends snatched the bottle from his hand and scolded him. "Are you trying to drink yourself to death? Do you have any idea how worried we have all been?" He waved the bottle around, unsteady on his feet. "We just called Olivia. She's on her way to take you home. Come on, man, enough with the drinking." At the sound of Olivia's name, Ethan's expression changed instantly. A wave of disgust washed over him. He shoved his friend aside and slammed the bottle to the floor, where it shattered into pieces. "Who told you to call her? Did I ask for that?" "She's your girlfriend. Who else were we supposed to call?" "She's not my girlfriend," Ethan snapped, his voice full of contempt. "You all really don't know who my girlfriend is?" His friends exchanged confused looks. "Ethan, have you forgotten? You and Chloe already broke up. You even told us in the group chat to start calling Olivia your fiancée. Before Chloe left the group, she even sent her congratulations. Aren't you and Olivia about to get engaged?" Someone asked. "We are not getting engaged," Ethan replied flatly, then motioned for someone to open another bottle. "Ethan, you need to stop this," one of them said firmly. "You cannot keep drinking like this." Ethan looked up, eyes unfocused. "And you think I'm going to listen to you now?" "No, you never listened to us. The only person you ever really listened to was Chloe. If she were here right now, you would have gone home with her without saying a word. You wouldn't be drinking yourself into a hospital bed." Ethan stayed quiet. He did not deny it. Another friend sighed and pulled out his phone. "Fine, I'm calling Chloe. If even she can't talk sense into you, then there's nothing more we can do." But to everyone's surprise, the call did not go through. Each person in the room tried their own phone, but it was the same. Chloe had blocked them all, not just Ethan. Every one of them. The air in the room grew cold. Ethan sat back on the couch, his gaze dark and heavy. Maybe she's just too angry," he murmured. "Can you blame her?" someone said. "You were the one who ended it so harshly. Then you started dating the girl who's technically her stepsister. Anyone would feel hurt, betrayed even." "She's been living alone lately," another added. "My cousin saw her at the cemetery on her mother's Memorial Day. Her eyes were swollen. She had clearly been crying." "Ethan, maybe you should go talk to her. Just go to her place." Ethan suddenly remembered the day Chloe left the Davis house. She had walked away without turning back, dragging 2 large suitcases behind her. That house had been her home, her family's. But somehow, It had become Olivia and her mother's territory. Even their father, the man she once called Dad, had turned his back on her so easily. He had been drawn in by Olivia's youth and sweetness. He had left Chloe behind without a second thought. What Ethan could not forget was that final look Chloe gave him. Her face was calm, emotionless. Her eyes held no trace of sorrow, no spark of anger. It was as if she were looking at a stranger, someone who had never mattered at all. He stood up abruptly, ready to leave. Just as the door opened, Olivia stepped in. Her voice was soft, her presence delicate. "Ethan," she said, her eyes wide and glassy with tears, as always. "Why are you drinking so much again? You're going to be complaining about a headache tomorrow." She walked up to him and gently slipped her arm through his. Ethan was just about to pull away when something stopped him. A scent drifted up, faint but familiar. His heart skipped a beat. He sniffed lightly. "What's that smell?" he asked, his voice suddenly low and uncertain. Olivia blushed, clearly pleased. "The same perfume as last time," she replied sweetly. She nodded. "Yes, it's still the same one." Her face lit up, but deep inside, a shadow crept in. The truth was, she had taken that perfume from Chloe's vanity. At first, she had wanted to throw away all of Chloe's expensive bottles, especially the unopened ones, but Ethan only liked that scent. She had tried others, but he always pulled away, always looked displeased. So, in the end, she kept it, using it even though the smell reminded her of someone else. "If you like it," she said in a soft voice, "I'll wear it every day." She tilted her head up, her beautiful eyes filled with longing. But Ethan's expression changed in an instant. He suddenly shoved her away. "Ethan?" Olivia gasped, stunned. The room went silent. All eyes turned toward him, shocked. Ethan looked at her with an eerie calm. His voice was steady, but everyone could feel the fury beneath the surface. "What's wrong, Ethan?" Olivia asked again, trying to grab his arm, and this time, Ethan raised his hand and slapped her across the face. "You hit me!" Olivia clutched her cheek, her eyes filling with tears from both pain and humiliation. Ethan's gaze was ice cold. "Olivia, aren't you allergic to peaches? Didn't you cry to me saying Chloe had someone smear peach juice on your bed to harm you?" "I am allergic," Olivia said quickly. "Dad knows too. He even found out that Chloe told the maid." Ethan suddenly stepped forward and grabbed her by the collar. He towered over her, his grip so tight she could barely breathe. "Let go!" Olivia gasped. "I can't breathe." Ethan stared at her, his handsome face twisted with rage. "Olivia," he said slowly, "did you forget you're wearing Chloe's favorite perfume? The one she always wore? I had bought that perfume for her again and again. The same one she wore every single day. At first, I didn't recognize it. I had forgotten so much." Ethan let out a bitter laugh, full of self-mockery. He had forgotten too. He forgot how deeply Chloe had loved him, how loyal she had been through all those years. He forgot the 3 years they spent together, filled with quiet devotion. He forgot the dreams they once shared of growing old side by side. He forgot how, during their breakup, she had sat in silence across from him, tears falling without a sound, accepting the end with quiet dignity. He forgot the girl he once claimed to love more than anything. He forgot how kind she had been, how gentle. He forgot that she had once held him in her heart like he was everything. And then, when it suited him, he threw her away without a second thought. He had forgotten too much, and now the consequences of that were finally coming back to him. He picked up the bottle of perfume and said quietly, "The middle notes are white peach and gardenia. You said you were allergic to peaches. Then how come you never had a reaction, even though you wore this perfume every day?" Lily's eyes widened in disbelief. Her face turned ghostly pale, like the color had been drained from her body. She trembled all over. It had all been a lie from the very beginning. She had manipulated him, lied to me, and even fooled Mr. Davis. "Olivia," Ethan said, his voice cold. "I see. I must have been blind to fall for someone so cunning." He let go of her roughly, pushing her away. She stumbled back and collapsed to the ground, too stunned to speak. Her lips moved, trying to form an excuse, but no sound came out. The perfume was real, the truth undeniable. "I'm going to tell everyone who you really are," Ethan said, glaring down at her one last time before turning away and slamming the door behind him. His driver sped towards Chloe's old apartment. When they arrived, the building was dark. Her windows were closed and no light shone from inside. Maybe she had already gone to sleep. But Ethan was desperate. He needed to see her, to apologize, to beg for forgiveness. He rang the doorbell again and again. He knocked until his knuckles hurt. Chloe never answered. Eventually, a neighbor, annoyed by the noise, called building management. That was when Ethan found out she had moved out long ago. She had even arranged to have the unit sold. Where had she gone? Was she still in the city? Would she ever come back? He had no answers. Only one terrifying thought kept circling in his mind, growing louder, more painful. He had lost Chloe. Maybe this time he had lost her for good. The lies Olivia and her mother had told to frame Chloe slowly came to light. Even the housekeepers at the Davis estate spoke up, defending Chloe and telling the truth. The day Olivia and her mother were thrown out of the Davis family home, they were completely disgraced, humiliated, dirty, like drowned rats. Ethan stood in the garden among wilted begonia flowers. His eyes turned red with emotion. Begonias might bloom again after withering, but some people, once they leave, they never return. In the days that followed, Mr. Davis tried many times to contact Chloe, but every time she heard his voice on the other end of the line, she quietly hung up. No explanation, no words. When she left the city, she not only took her mother's belongings, she also took every part of the inheritance that was rightfully hers. The Davis family home was now just an empty shell, and they all knew in their hearts she was never coming back. Not far away, loud arguments broke out, screaming, swearing, crying. The masks had finally come off. With their dream of luxury shattered, Olivia and her mother showed their true colors, sharp-tongued, vicious, desperate. "Open your suitcases, we're checking everything," came a cold voice from the steps. It was Mr. Davis. He looked tired and aged, like a man who had lived through years of regret in a single night. Ethan stood beside him, head lowered in shame. In that moment, he realized just how foolish he had been, how completely blind. It was unbelievable that they had once driven away someone as good and kind as Chloe for women like that. This was justice, harsh but deserved. Olivia and her mother refused to open their suitcases. They screamed, kicked, and cried, but it was useless. Every single case was opened. Underneath the neatly packed clothes were piles of designer bags, fine jewelry, and expensive accessories. "Don't let them take anything else," Mr. Davis ordered, his face filled with rage. Olivia and her mother lunged forward, trying to snatch the items back, but the guards pushed them aside. Not only were the things in their suitcases confiscated, even the jewelry they wore was stripped from them. Olivia fought wildly. In the struggle, one of her earrings was ripped out, tearing her earlobe. Blood trickled from her neck down to her chest. The sight was horrifying, but the man who once called her daughter didn't even blink. He waved his hand as if swatting away something filthy and gave the final order: "Throw them out." And so, dragged by the guards, screaming and crying, Olivia and her mother were cast out and through the front gates. Just like that. Olivia still would not give up. She clung to the iron gatepost, screaming hoarsely, her voice nearly gone. "Ethan, you can't do this to me. I'm pregnant. The baby is yours. You have to take responsibility." By the end, she looked completely out of control, like someone possessed, her cries echoing through the quiet estate. Mr. Davis turned to look at Ethan, but Ethan felt nothing. No pity, no guilt, only disgust. He almost wanted to laugh, but he couldn't even manage a smile. How had he ever fallen for someone so shameless? Ethan stepped forward and stood beside Mr. Davis, whose once black hair was now streaked with gray. "I never touched her," Ethan said. "I swear I never laid a hand on her." Mr. Davis let out a long, weary breath. That's good. He waved his hand, and the bodyguards came forward, dragging Olivia away. Her screams slowly faded into silence. The sun dipped low, casting a soft golden light over the wide garden. Ethan and Mr. Davis stood there, both gazing at the bed of crab apple blossoms that had wilted with the season. The trees were bare now, their branches still. No one knew when they would bloom again. These had been Chloe's mother's favorite flowers. After her passing, Chloe had cared for them lovingly. But now, Chloe was gone too. And the delicate flowers, almost as if they could feel it, had withered as spring arrived. Mr. Davis wiped at the tears on his face. I failed Chloe and I failed her mother. I failed them both. His voice trembled. Ethan, I lost my mind. I made her mother a promise to take care of Chloe, to love her like my own daughter, but I broke that promise. Do you think I'll be punished for that? How much pain she must have carried, how wrong she must have felt. He looked up at Ethan again. The photo of Chloe's mother has been restored. I plan to renovate the entire house. Do you think Chloe will ever come home? Ethan stayed quiet. Maybe. Deep down, he knew the answer, but he didn't want to admit it. The light around them dimmed. Ethan swallowed his sorrow. Mr. Davis, Chloe has always had a soft heart. He couldn't finish the sentence. There was no need. They both knew what kind of person Chloe was. And they both knew how cruelly they had treated her under some strange spell. They had turned cold. And now it was too late. My wedding to Liam took place the following spring. Just like we had promised when we were young, my best friend Sierra stood at my side as my only bridesmaid. I didn't send invitations to anyone from the capital city. Not a single relative, not one old friend. But somehow, the news still spread. On the day of the wedding, my father and Ethan showed up. Liam came to ask how I wanted to handle it. The makeup artist was still brushing powder across my cheeks. I looked up and saw myself in the mirror. Me beside the man who would soon become my husband. The bridal makeup was heavier than what I normally wore. I looked different, almost like a stranger. But in that moment, I reminded myself of the crabapple blossoms Liam had planted for me at our new home. Shy, radiant, and quietly beautiful. Standing beside me in his tailored black tuxedo, Liam looked incredibly handsome. We shared a glance. In that brief second, there was a smile in both our eyes. I don't want to see them, I said quietly. Liam nodded without hesitation. Okay, I'll have someone ask them to leave. Good. Even now, I had no desire to see them again. Some scars fade slowly over time, but others never fully heal. Some ties are too fragile to keep, and I no longer wanted to hold on. Once everything was ready, I walked onto the stage in my white gown, holding my bouquet. Liam didn't wait for me to reach him. He stepped forward, reaching out his hand. I reached out too. In the sound of laughter and blessings, our hands finally met and held tight. Liam leaned down and kissed me, forgetting the crowd completely. It was a long kiss, so tender it felt like I might forget how to breathe. Only when the wedding ring slid onto my finger did he lean close and whisper into my ear, Chloe, I love you. I have loved you for a long, long time, and I will love you for a long, long time more. I looked up at him, eyes shimmering with tears. Liam, I will try my best to love you too, to love you well. He pulled me into his arms, full of warmth and care. Okay. That day, the wedding was not just beautiful, it was romantic, filled with meaning. Ethan and Mr. Davis never entered the ceremony, but neither of them left. Mr. Davis collapsed midway through. He suffered a sudden heart attack and had to be rushed to the hospital. He survived but fell into a coma. Ethan stayed until the end. For some reason, Sierra had never blocked him. Because of that, Ethan saw almost every photo and video from the wedding through her social media. He had known before the wedding that my groom was Liam, my college senior, a man he once praised long ago when we were still together. He had gotten jealous each time Liam's name came up. Eventually, I stopped mentioning him. I even kept my distance from Liam. Yet in the end, I married him. Ethan saw everything in the photos. In every clip, he saw how deeply Liam loved me. The way he looked at me, so focused, so full of devotion. Ethan recognized that look. He had once looked at me the same way. Until he convinced himself he was tired of me. Until a younger girl caught his attention. Until he lost me. And by the time he realized what he had thrown away, it was too late. Liam had taken me away. Ethan heard that at our new home we had planted an entire garden of crabapple blossoms. It was spring now, and they must be blooming beautifully, just like I had on our wedding day. On the drive back to the capital city, Ethan crossed a highway bridge late at night. The road was empty. He pressed down on the gas, pushing the car faster. Then, without warning, he turned the wheel sharply and closed his eyes. The vehicle slammed into the railing. After the crash, everything went still. The crabapple trees would bloom again, but they would bloom in someone else's garden. If there was another life, Ethan wished he could return to the time when he first met me, just after my mother passed. This time, he would love me the right way.